Morning. Do you know all that time the police spent harassing me, sending 10 officers round in 2 weeks, keeping me detained in the cells for the whole weekend for questioning the validity of the arrest? Letters, phone calls, etc., and so forth. A phone call to say they were going to investigate 25 years worth of theft in the public purse, orchestrated by John Major, and then when they turned up at my door, they arrested me. Never had a warrant, of course. Why bother with such things? And stole my phone as well. Yeah, I'm about to tear your world apart, Whitehall. It's a shame, isn't it? Someone said to me on Twitter, sorry, I forget your name. Someone said to me on Twitter last night that Stanley Johnson, Boris's father, who incidentally served as an MEP from 1979 until 1984. What else happened in 1984? That's right, John Major orchestrated 25 years worth of theft from the public purse in secret bonuses for his council chums. I bet you and John were best mates, actually, Stanley. Probably still are. Thieves always hang out together. In 1982, a book was released written by Stanley Johnson called The Virus. Now, all you have to do to find the resume of this is Google who wrote The Virus, which is what I did last night after this person told me on Twitter. From renowned British politician Stanley Johnson. Sort of. He's not that renowned because he ran for an election down in Hampshire in the more recent times and got beaten by Lib Dem. Even though Hampshire was his area for being an MEP. So clearly not very good then, Stanley. For renowned British politician Stanley Johnson, an exciting, intelligent thriller about the rise of a mysterious virus and one man's fight to stop a deadly pandemic. Now, do think if that sounds at all familiar. Nearly 40 years later. Yes, it was already written. They've spent the last 40 years planning this. Because what happened as well in the 1980s, it was the rise of the town hall. This is when the town halls started coming up. And in fact, until I Googled Stanley Johnson, I didn't know we had MEPs back as far as 1979. But of course, that's when they were doing that's when the town twinning started. You know, when your town is like twinned to Luxembourg or something and you've got no idea why. That's what was brought in the early 80s. And there were a couple of councils already on the go. I think places like Tower Hamlets and stuff like that in London in the very late 70s. But the early 80s, 1980 to 84, was basically the rise of the town hall. Right? I've covered this before in the channel. So that they intended then for the councils now to have all the power they have with these trading licences and the council tax and being in charge of the police, because of course the money for the police gets paid through the council tax. So chief constables are basically an irrelevance these days. There's an irony. The law becomes incidental, so do chief constables. Wow. And this is what's been happening. This has been planned for 40 years. This whole thing, this is what it's been building up to. And if you don't believe me, just look around. Look around at what's going on. Social distancing, right, I've said on the channel, if you stand where you feel comfortable and not in the little stupid yellow circle, it's basically inches ahead. It's designed precisely for absolute control because you're basically standing inches ahead of this little yellow circle. There's so little change you'd hardly notice. But they're just putting you that bit further back just to let you know who's in charge. Same thing with face masks, right? When did we ever see the MPs wearing face masks? Yeah, not until recently in the House of Commons. And the House of Lords still don't, because I caught a clip of something on the House of Lords the other night, midweek, so they're not even wearing face masks. So none of them wear them except for like photo opportunities and stuff, but you're supposed to wear them. As I've said, I've got the t-shirt. I even had the t-shirt made up, government mind control device. And yeah, police going around arresting people. Well, it's not a criminal offence. In fact, I was driving around London yesterday because I've got a very weird sat nav which has some very funny ideas. And I was driving through a suburb of London and there's big banners up hanging off the sort of lamppost things. And it says, follow government guidance. So this space, face, whatever, it says follow government guidance on these actual banners. Guidance, it's not law, and it's certainly not criminal law. So it's all, basically the police are enforcing this by weight of numbers, which is their chosen tactic because they're cowards and Nazis. And bullies always are cowards and Nazis. And as I say, they've been building up these councils. This thing of social distancing is just making you stand that bit further back. That's about control. The face masks are about control. And now it looks like they want everyone to take a vaccine 3 times a year. For a virus, which I believe directly, never mind all this rubbish about died within 28 days of a positive test, right? Probably 100,000 people died last year within 28 days of having a haircut. Directly from coronavirus, probably about 5,000 people have died. If we're unlucky, it'll tip 7,500 by the time this thing is over. Because believe me, this is going to go on and on. Unless the people stand up and take the masks off and go back to work and basically put 2 fingers up to the police and the MPs and everyone else, this isn't going to finish until well into 2023, right? Because at that point, it's no mistake Boris slid into the chair when he did, because they wanted 5 clear years. Right? Because about 2023, the election's going to be looming. And then we're going to get, if this is still going on, if the people haven't stood up and stopped it, then we're going to get a year of, we saved you all. Aren't we wonderful? We saved you from this deadly pandemic, which, by the way, has taken about 5,000 lives. I'm getting a lot of trollers on Twitter, which is quite funny. Have you taken your meds today? Oh, why are your tweets so depressing and bitter? You should really try and look on the lighter side of life. Block. Same guy, twice. Well, same guy, 2 different profiles, but it's obviously created by the same guy. Twice in about 10 minutes. The other morning. Block. And you're right over the target when you start getting abuse like that. It's like when these fact checkers pop up. It's guaranteed you've hit a nerve if the fact checkers pop up. So wow, you've all been conned. This is a 40-year setup. Let's face it, I've always said on this channel, they've got nothing better to do. This is why they dragged Brexit out for like, I think we're going on for 5 years now, haven't we? When was it? It was 2016, wasn't it? So yeah, it must be going on 5 years now, and it's still not really done, not properly. So, but they've got nothing better to do, you see. This is why they invent things like the customs union, which suddenly popped up one morning on Mar. And the hard border in Ireland, which went away months and months and months later after them going on about it, saying, there's no way around these issues. Again, on Mar one Sunday morning, oh, well, we've dealt with that now. I can't remember the exact words, but it just went away. And then they took the hard border and they drew it in the Irish Sea with a magic marker. And now the EU's on about it again, as if it actually exists. But the problem these people give themselves is they invent these things to distract the public and justify their existence, which, by the way, we should be eternally thankful for. And then, of course, when the EU says, but what about the hard border? Well, they can't then sit there and say, well, we made that up. So they've got to take seriously negotiations, which may actually kick off the Irish Troubles again, over an imaginary thing, which was made up to distract the public in the first place. It's genius. It's absolute genius. Right. Anyway, with that little offering, you're welcome.